Sean Statzer, and you're tuned in to Stats Don't Lie, where I try to cut through the noise with fact-driven reflections on debates that divide us. As we wrestle with truth, faith, and fractures in our culture, I'm not here to tell you what to think, but to invite you to think deeper. Let's get into it. September 5th, 2025. Escaping society's cardboard prison, a call to common ground. We all do it. Across the spectrum, it doesn't matter where you stand. We've been conditioned to categorize. Putting a vast group of different people into the same box because of one shared trait is obviously problematic. So why do we do it every day? America's a country of roughly 340 million people, and we're no monolith. I would argue and often do that diversity is our greatest strength, and this isn't just true of population, ethnicity, or culture. Diversity of opinion is crucial for genuine growth and development in reasoning skills and intellect. Diversity strengthens markets. Diversity strengthens communities. Diversity strengthens faith. Iron sharpens iron, but boxes keep us from seeing that potential. When we reduce people to boxes, they lose their individuality in our eyes. It's hard to stand face to face with a person and speak your mind, but when you're addressing a box, you can dehumanize them all you want and walk away with a clear conscience. But the more you put others into boxes, the more you box yourself in. That's because we use these boxes as building blocks to fortify our own narratives, but we end up creating walls that cut us off from reality and from the beauty of God's diverse creation. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that the political landscape in America has been a real clown show in recent years. At this point, I couldn't care less what your political affiliation is. I'm baffled that so many still blindly defend one side or the other after the lies and failures of both parties. And according to recent polling, nearly a third of Americans now reject both parties. Party de-alignment is real. Independents are growing in number, partisanship is weakening, and trust in both Democrats and Republicans is collapsing. People are waking up to the fact that they've been existing in boxes, and they're realizing the labels on those boxes don't reflect their convictions, actions, or beliefs. Nowhere is this clearer than the debate over Gaza. For decades, support for Israel has been a bipartisan rite of passage, a sacred cow in Washington. But this war has fractured partisan lines in ways few other issues have. Among Democrats, sympathy for Palestinians has surged, with majorities now opposing more aid to Israel, even as many Democratic leaders vote the other way. Independents lean the same direction, and even younger Republicans are questioning the official narrative. So while the fracture is most pronounced inside the blue team, it's not exclusive to them. Gaza has exposed a deeper reality. Across the board, Americans are tired of seeing their taxes leave our country to fund endless wars, and now a live-stream genocide while our own needs are ignored. I watched Mehdi Hassan respond to a question that captured this tension. A woman said she was disoriented as a Democrat. Her party had ignored its base to keep sending billions to Israel, while the only public figures she saw speaking against it were Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, figures she's never agreed with about anything. Hassan acknowledged this paradox and admitted they were at least more correct than the others on this issue, but reminded her that they still had their own agendas. He closed with, "I think we can see a free Palestine without aligning ourselves with white Christian nationalists." I completely understand that sentiment, but I firmly disagree, and here's why. We're witnessing a massive ideological shift across the spectrum. It's being driven by economic pressure, political corruption, and moral clarity. People from all walks of life are waking up and asking, why are we unconditionally shielding Israel from accountability? Their motivations for this are as diverse as the people themselves, ranging from Jewish Holocaust survivors determined to prevent another genocide in their name to neo-Nazis exploiting the outrage to stoke anti-Semitism. Even here in the Southern Bible Belt, for the last 2 years, I've stood shoulder to shoulder with Jewish, Muslim, and Christian brothers and sisters in demanding that our elected officials stop arming Israel. And once it became a united policy in most Western nations to dispose of any voice critical of Israel to the anti-Semite box, once used to shine a light on real hatred, that box has since burst from the weight of people calling out the evils they see with their own eyes. Coming together on this issue can certainly push public policy away from co-signing the slaughter of civilians, but it can also produce dialogue between the left and right, the middle and the margins, that might just knock down some of these prison walls. True progress starts with a willingness to wield the truth with the logic of love, not as a weapon to defeat them. The simple, risky act of meeting people where they are, on whatever small patch of common ground can be found. That's where grace enters, and without it, real progress is impossible. And there will be ripple effects. When you take that first step toward real conversation, you're not just talking to the person across from you. You're talking to everyone listening from inside their box. You may be the first voice they've heard pierce their echo chamber. Your words may sound foreign, even jarring, but it might plant the question that makes them pause, wonder, and begin looking for the door out. And who knows, it may even lead you to see the people in that box differently. So, how do we break these boxes? Well, not through debates and not even through facts. The only way to do this is through relationship. When you meet a person and your experience with them goes against everything the label on the box told you about their people, you'll start to see their people differently. You'll start noticing their people as people. I learned this lesson as a young man. I grew up in the Tri-Cities region of Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee. My peers were a bit more diverse than maybe the average person growing up in the area, and interracial friendships were completely normal to me. But not everyone in my family shared that reality. I'll never forget the first time my aunt began dating a black man. My grandmother was furious, and I was shocked at my grandmother's outrage. She was deeply serious about her Christian faith. She's the one who read the Bible to me at night and kept our family going to church when I was growing up. So hearing prejudice come out of her just felt completely out of character. And I immediately asked her the one question that saved me from my own prison of prejudice many times in my life. Why? Why does her boyfriend, being black, make it wrong to be with him? Her answers crumbled under simple questioning. Society taught her as a youth that there was something immoral and ungodly about mixing races, but she never had an experience in her life that prompted her to even consider how true that sentiment was. But despite the doubts I may have sown with my questions, her conviction only broke the day my aunt's boyfriend came for dinner. They sat together, broke bread, conversated, treated each other with dignity, and by the end of that night, my grandmother walked out of a prison she didn't even know she was in. No argument could have done that. Only relationship. I learned the power of connection again in prison. Not a cardboard one, a real one of concrete and steel. I spent a decade inside and eventually became a leader during that time with many men looking to me for guidance. That place was a microcosm of the greater American church, with every race, denomination, and ideology represented. Being effective in that environment meant cultivating relationships with people very different from me and focusing on truth instead of nitpicking errors. One of my closest friends during that time was the imam of the Sunni community. He lived just a few cells down from me. We were the same age. We were both thrust into leadership, even though we were genuinely just trying to be a help to our communities without getting entangled in the machinery of organized religion. And despite our theological differences, we shared the same struggles and intercommunity drama. This relationship and others like it were the only things that could have ever freed me from a lifetime of propaganda and indoctrination concerning our Muslim cousins. Now, I say all that to say, I know the value of sitting at tables with people I share little common ground with. My relentless curiosity has made me a natural-born box cutter my whole life, always asking why, always needing to see for myself. Here in America, our society maintains a strange Ricky Bobby-style patriotism that shapes our worldview. If you're not first, you're last. Winning is everything. Coming out on top is the only option. Ironically, many Americans have blended that sentiment with a faith that declares that the first shall be last and commands its followers to pour themselves out for the sake of others. To build a wall that blinds a person from that incoherence, you need a lot of boxes. Nelson Mandela knew real peace after apartheid would never come by winning or coming out on top. He led with the logic of love. He knew that progress required reconciliation, and he was willing to take the first step. He showed his enemies a dignity they never showed his people, and in doing so, he created space for a future that would have been impossible otherwise. And that's the hard truth in front of us now. After our boxes are gone, reconciliation isn't optional. It's a necessity. Like it or not, that same work must happen between groups as far apart as the American left and MAGA. The future depends on whether enough of us are willing to take the first step toward those we've been taught to despise. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, "We must learn to regard people less in light of what they do or admit to do, and more in light of what they suffer." That is how we learn to look past labels. how to peer inside the box and to see the human beings within. So this is the work before us, to break out of the prisons of our own making, to resist labels, to take the first step of grace, meeting people where they are on whatever small patch of common ground can be found. We have to stop writing people off because of their views and make a real effort to get to know people different than you. If you're a Democrat, get to know a MAGA Republican in a way that doesn't involve politics. Build a rapport with that person. And then when you're at a place where you can do so without raising their defenses, ask them, why? If you're a MAGA Republican, find a Democrat and get to know them. If you're an American Christian, find you a Muslim friend. If you're appalled at the notion of trans rights, get to know someone who belongs to that community. Because history shows us, whenever a society grows comfortable putting people in boxes, it's only a matter of time before it becomes state policy to put people in boxes they can never begin climb out of. When you start to lose sight of the humanity of your enemy, you begin to lose your own. So you want to stop a genocide, but you don't know where to start? Start with that neighbor you disagree with. You may both find that underneath narratives and biases, you both want the same things out of life. Begin the work of recognizing the building blocks of the boxes you've used to fortify your own prison, and then burn them down. Make no mistake, if we have any realistic hope of seeing a free Palestine, it'll take as many of us as possible, left, right, independent, faith communities, skeptics, everyone, to stand together against the full power of empire. To my fellow box burners, I love you all. Stay stirred up. You've been listening to Stats Don't Lie, fact-driven reflections on debates that divide us. And if you'd like to hear more, subscribe to my Substack at stats.substack.com, where every essay lives in both written and audio form. And if you'd like to support this work, you can pledge to do so there as well. Until next time, stay stirred up.